see you back.
Yeah, hi Syed, hi
Hi.
Ashish.
I'm
It's been a while.
hoping more people will join. All right. So we've actually let me just in the Q&A app. We have about like 15 questions. We I think the first question we've already answered. It's the same question, right? Yeah. Okay. We'll go through each question one by one. But if you guys have any questions in between, like go ahead and ask us. Okay.
Yeah, so Neeraj, question from you. So basically, um, you're asking that you have included support for okay, deep links in your app, right? And you want to know whether you should be pointing from your app to your mobile pages or the www pages. Is that your question?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So basically, see, you point to the primary resource. And the primary resource would be your www pages, not the m.dot versions. So from within your app, you just need to point to the www versions, and that's it.
uh, Syed. Actually, I was getting some errors in Webmaster Tools for M dot version.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why by now what I did, I just supported both M dot and www from app, and from M dot version actually I was giving pointing to app page, but I believe that from www I should point to app page.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, your primary page is the www page. So your www page should point to the deep link within your app, and vice
Mhm.
versa. From your app, you should direct to the www version.
Okay.
So your m.dot version is just an alternate to your map, to your app, basically, right?
Mhm.
But your primary resource would be on the www.
Okay. So those errors M dot version that are coming in my webmaster tools, I should not care, and they will vanish away with the time, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Question is by Anand. To remove 404 pages from Google search because Google reduces crawlers. Uh, Honestly, 404 pages don't really matter unless they're I mean, it doesn't really matter for ranking. So even if you leave them alone, we will index them eventually. So that's it.
Yeah, there is nothing to worry about those pages. Yeah, in fact, if those pages are not there, you may see those warnings for some time in your webmaster search console, basically. If there are links pointing to those pages, but eventually Google realizes, and then those errors will.
We have a Panda question.
What comes
What comes in
in?
the Panda update? We know about scraped content, duplicate content, thin content, and autogen content. All these are differentiated by Google. Then what comes in the Panda update? So Panda is basically for content in general. Like if we find content that's not high quality, that's not very useful to your users, we like that gets hit by Panda.
Yeah, I think I would refer you back to one of the old articles by Amit Singhal, who is the head of search here on our blog. You can find this article on our blog. The title is More Guidance on Building High Quality Sites. And in that blog post, there are about 23 questions that you can ask about your content to see if it is good quality or not. Right, so probably that should be a good guideline for you to judge if your content is really good or not.
Yeah, Ashish, actually, why I asked this question was because this is a algorithm filter. This is not any manual action, and we always have very much problems in finding what we are doing wrong because in algorithm filter we do not get any kind of notification. Suddenly, overnight, we see that our ranking is dropped, and we just try to find out what went wrong, whether the interlinking is creating issue or backlinks are creating issue. But this is why in Panda update I wanted to be sure that whatsoever content I am creating is not uh, is not to be judged by Panda update or to be demoted by Panda update?
One thing, just because like all ranking drops are not related to Panda, we have a lot of other filters that like run, and they can be due to technical details or any other issue. And regarding Panda, I think what Syed said, that like those 23 questions to judge, those questions are generally like, is the content authoritative? Does it answer the question, or is it relevant to the page's main content? Is there enough supplementary content that's appended to the main content? So you have a lot of these questions that basically ask you to judge your a page's content, and you can review like, if you have any doubt about if certain pages of your website have low quality content, you can review uh, that page based upon these questions and like make the decision yourself. Right.
Okay, thank you.
The next question is by Codex. What is means by real time in SERP, like Panda? Okay, Panda update. It's not real time. Uh, I think Gary, if you've seen Gary's tweets a few weeks back, I think he's categorically said that Panda updates are not real time. So it's been apparently someone spreading misinformation. So yeah, this is not true. The next question is by Arun. I'm facing an issue where a web page is indexing half and there is a lot of content in footer which Google is unable to index. Generally, if we can index a particular page, unless you've roboted out, say, certain CSS files or JavaScript files, the content part, at least, we should generally be able to index completely.
If at all you're loading your content, that part of the page, using JavaScript, for example, Ajax and stuff, it becomes absolutely necessary for you to allow us to crawl that JavaScript resource as well, the JavaScript file, so that we can render the page as it is rendered in the browser, and then we can get access to the content behind it. So yeah, primarily make sure that you're not blocking any of the resources attached to that web page. And otherwise, I don't see any problem why we shouldn't be
or
able to
maybe
crawl
if you
any,
have say certain iframes that Google is not able to access or something. Like if all the content is on the page and there's no robots blocking it, we should be able to access it. No.
Yeah, but also feel free to like post in the Webmaster forum if you think there's more to it.
Next question is by Ashwani. How important is scroll budget, and who does Google decide this for a particular website? It's on a case-by-case basis. So, like I'm not sure if you've heard the first question. There have been like 130 million URLs, and in that case, we just probably put in more resources to crawl that particular site. And if there are a lot of more URLs being added on a daily basis, and we deem them important enough to index, we'll probably be allocating more resources to that particular website. But if there's a website which doesn't update as frequently, then, or if the content is just because someone keeps throwing a lot of blog posts daily doesn't mean we'll also keep crawling it frequently and update it. It also depends upon the site's quality and how important we think it's for the users. There's a lot of factors involved. But in general, if you have good content that's being updated regularly, your site will be crawled regularly too.
And the crawl thing is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just because we're already on this question, for like our specific use case, does allowing those detail pages to be crawled, does that like hurt your chances of getting fully indexed? So like.
I mean, I don't think so. It will just delay it, because we'll have to go through a large batch, and we'll have to see that these, like, of the 100 URLs we've crawled, 70 of them have no index, which we'll probably not index them. But crawling site, I don't think there's any issue. in the indexing part, the only issue I can see is a delay. Like there's a lot of new URLs that Google has yet to crawl. So like only delay is the only issue I see here.
And then would you see any? So if you have a directory and you have a bunch of URLs, if you blocked crawling on them, would Google think less of the content because they can't actually see the content that a user would click through to?
Not really. So the only if you actually want to block content from being crawled and you don't think that it needs to be shown in search or it's important to the user, we don't really take that as an opinion about the full site. Also, the only case we don't recommend blocking using robots is when you have CSS and JavaScript files that affect the design of your website, because like while viewing in mobile, if you're blocking it, we can't render the page properly in mobile, so it is not mobile friendly. But for normal cases where you're just blocking certain, say, indexes or directories of your website that don't need to be seen by the user or Google, it's totally fine. We don't really see it as a negative thing. Next is by Jaya. Sometimes in Google Trends, we see the keywords are in English, but when we explore, only Hindi news are being displayed. Any specific reason for it? Sorry?
Okay, so this is regarding Google Trends, I think, not really Google Search. I'm not really sure why this would happen in Google Trends, and I think probably you should get in touch with the folks from Google Trends team. They may be able to tell you. Just check what your language. Yeah.
Are the keywords, I mean, written in English script, but they're actually Hindi? I mean, that can also be the case, right? The script is
Jaya
English.
doesn't. Yeah, probably Jaya is not here.
If you can add, Jaya, if you're watching this, if you can add a follow-up question around if the script is in English, but the content of the
basically transliterated content. If you're using English alphabet to write Hindi words,
then yeah, you'd probably get in Hindi news. Okay. Another question by Jaya. Does the speed of mobile sites affect the ranking on desktop in case of separate mobile version for the site? Speed in general does affect ranking, but it is pretty low in terms of ranking factors. It like the content and the relevancy, and if the page is being shown to the user in the first place, and mobile friendliness, these things matter a lot more. But of course, speed is also important.
Yeah, but I think you're saying if you have a M.dot version and then that M.dot version is probably slow, and you have a separate desktop version which is not that slow. So I mean, what we consider when serving on desktop is your desktop version, not the M.dot version. So your M.dot version has the speed of your M.dot version should not come into picture when you're ranking your desktop site, basically.
Oh.
But you may get affected on mobile rankings.
Next question by Neeraj. If I don't have any particular page for mobile websites and serve desktop pages in mobile, should I mention alternate version app in my desktop header and support that page from app?
Neeraj, could you clarify this question a bit?
Yes, Sayed, actually in one segment I don't have M.dot version pages, but in a desktop site I do have. So in for those pages, I just wanted to be sure that if I don't have any M.dot version for those segment, for that particular segment respective mobile pages, so can I just mention in my desktop header alternate version direct to app, and from app supporting to those desktop pages?
Okay, so if I understood the question correctly, you have a desktop version of your website, you have a mobile version of your website, and then you have an app. And for a particular section on your desktop version, you don't necessarily have mobile version.
Correct. Correct.
But you do have those pages in the app.
Right.
Right. Of course. I mean, when you're doing deep linking on your apps, your mobile site is not in the picture, basically.
For that segment.
For any segment, basically. So if you have a desktop site and you have an app, and you don't at all have your mobile version, even then you can do the deep linking from your app.
Okay, as you Sayed mentioned a few minutes back.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So there is no need to worry between when you're doing implementing deep linking on your app. You to worry about the mobile version of the site to come into picture. This
I
is
got it.
into your desktop version. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Next question is by Ashwani. What percentage of web and mobile searches on Google are affected by personalization parameters? What can new companies in mature industries do? So one, if you're talking about personalized searches, then they don't really, I'm not sure, I don't think they're affected in the actual web search. So they're mostly like related to email and other personal details just for that particular user. So they don't really affect the actual normal web search parameters. But
yeah, but if you're talking about personalization of search in the sense that, okay, we try to deliver the best possible relevant results to specific to that particular user. So for example, if I'm searching from Hyderabad, then I would see results related to in and around Hyderabad, right? If I'm trying to shop something, then I would get results from Hyderabad. If you're talking about that kind of personalization, right? So yeah, that plays an important role because we try to give the most relevant set of results to each of the users, right? So that plays an important role there. If you're talking about that,
we don't really have percentage numbers per se, but what can new companies in the mature industry do? I mean, if you have relevant results for like your target market, I think that should be a good start.
Yeah, but if you have
that
any,
sounds simple, but obviously, like when you consider all your target audience and if the content makes sense or not, it's probably a lot of effort and work to put in.
but Ashwini, nevertheless, if you think a question is not answered, just do a follow-up question on this to clarify.
A question by Amit Roy. Any info on recent Google algorithm updates and major websites showing fluctuations? Another question here is any steps we need to undertake apart from content and markup for getting into Google rich answers snippets. Algorithm updates, it's the same thing as usual. Just focus on the content, and if any major websites are showing fluctuations, I honestly haven't taken a look there. My bad. But
no, but I think that keeps happening. I mean, unless there is something very significant that has happened, I think this is absolutely normal for those fluctuations to happen. Yeah.
The second part of your question regarding rich snippets, as long as you have, your site is, your site has good content and you've done the markup properly, and so they have rich snippet quality guidelines. If you followed those guidelines and you've done the markup properly, generally there's no reason for your rich snippets not to show up. It may take some time, but it will end up showing in the search results. If you actually this content is good, there are no issues, and you see in the structured data tool, you see that your rich snippet is showing up properly, so that because there are no technical issues, then please put in a question in the forum and we'll take a closer look. Because all things, if everything is fine, and if the site is a pretty good site, and it has good quality content and everything, it should show up. Rich snippets should normally show up. There's no guarantee, but generally, like it does show up. Okay, we'll go to some questions at the bottom. If I want Google not to index a particular paragraph displaying all pages like terms and conditions, what is the best way I can do that? One thing you can't really, I'd say, like Syed explained previously, if you use certain JavaScript or something just to show up that particular one particular section of the page, and if you block those resources from robots, we may not be able to access that content. But that is in general is not a good practice. generally there's no other way to simply block or robot out a certain part of the page. One thing I'd suggest is if you don't want content from like boilerplate content to show up in every site, maybe just put all of that boilerplate content under one link, like say terms and conditions, and when people click on that link, they're taken to the actual terms and conditions page where all the actual content is put up. So instead of having all the terms and conditions, you'll just end up having just a small link with anchor text, which should be.
Yeah, yeah, Ashish, I understand this, and even I wanted to do this the same. Like if a person clicks on that pop-up, opens and has all terms conditions, but due to my company business and restrictions, my company wanted to just display all terms conditions before any buyer buys. So in that case, at least I believe 10 or 15% content of every page was becoming boilerplate. So I just gone through many articles, many hangouts, but did not find the exact way of handling such kind of things. So this is why I just added this question: ki what to do for such case?
So again, like I said, as far as I know, you can't really block out just a certain part of the page without messing with the design of the page. If you do that, then other parts of your website may get affected because of not blocking out certain resources and design, say mobile being bad.
Also from a Google, I mean, from a search engine perspective, basically, we would definitely want to see all the content that is there on the page so that we can represent your pages appropriately in search results, right? So if you're hiding part of that content and then you're showing it to the users,
he doesn't want to hide the terms and conditions. It has to show up in each and every page.
Actually, the thing was that I don't want to restrict Google from crawling this content, but the main thing was I don't want for this content to come up in search.
that is what this is saying. So basically, you want not to show the
Search, yes,
hide
because
content from search engines, which, as Ashish rightly mentioned in the beginning of his answer, that it is not a good practice because we want to know all the content that is available on your pages so that we are able to represent your page appropriately in the search results, right? So if you're hiding part of the content on your pages from searches and then displaying it to the users, that is not generally seen in a good light. So yeah, so the other options you have is like basically put that content in a pop-up or in some other link, or otherwise maybe you can just think of optimizing that content to shrink it a little bit and then let it be there.
Yeah,
okay.
I think honestly, I think just having a link to terms and conditions to a different page would be the best bet here. But otherwise, maybe have it under a drop down so the user experience is not affected too much. But search wise, we'll still be able to crawl and index all that content.
Actually, there are almost 10 kind of terms conditions like fares are displayed, round trip, last updated this, and if that comes in search engine, then it is a completely non-relevant. Like fares are displayed in a round trip. So this is why I wanted to remove that particular thing from search result.
So it makes sense. I mean, for pages which have good content, this would not matter much. But if there are pages with very little content, this may overshadow in some cases. Uh, Actually, maybe can you add this question in our community? We'll discuss it and maybe give you a better answer.
Sure, I will, Ashish.
I think also could be using JavaScript. I mean, if there is not much content here and there, and especially if you can trigger that content based on users' actions, right? When a user is clicking on something or doing something on your pages, then you're triggering that point. So probably you can hide that behind the JavaScript, for example.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
The next question. It's from Codex. Sometimes in Google Webmaster Tools, sitemaps, not all pages are indexed. Why is this happening? This is a pretty common problem where not all the URLs that you have submitted in the sitemap are indexed. This could be due to a lot of factors, like say you have a lot of duplicate pages, or some pages are like you have no index on some particular pages, but you've still submitted them in sitemap. So I think just like say take a sample out of your sitemap and see which pages are not indexed, and see if they're being blocked by Google, or if you have any no index, or if there are 2-3 different pages and all of them have the same content, in which case we'll try and index only one canonical page. Okay. I have a question from Peter, which is, do landing pages used in AdWords campaign have any impact on SEO results? One, like AdWords and search are completely different. Just because the one particular page is used in an AdWords campaign doesn't mean it will be either positively or negatively affected in search. Like in search, the AdWords part doesn't really matter. If as long as the URL is crawlable and the content is relevant for a particular query, we will serve it. Does faulty redirect mean redirecting to the page to home page only, or inner pages also? It means for inner pages also. So say if you have abc.com/a.html, and instead of it redirecting to the m. version of the same a.html page, if it redirects to b.html page, then it still comes up under faulty redirect. We have another question from Ashwini. There's some very old pages which are not linked from anywhere on my site now, but get decent Google traffic because Google has indexed them. Why is Google not removing these pages from indexing and stopping from crawling? So you basically say that these pages are still live on your page, but they're not being like there are no other pages that are linking to these, right? I mean, even though there are no other pages that are being linked from your site, there could still be external links. Also, once we've indexed it, it's sort of we have that page in our index, and we'll regularly crawl pages in our index. I mean, there's no set timeline, but we'll recrawl pages in our index just to update them. So as long as the page is live, it could still be indexed. But on the other case, if you 404'd if you have actually 404'd the page, it should stop showing up after a few days when we recrawl it and see the 404.
Also, if at all you don't want them to get crawled and indexed, then you can use robot.txt to block them off, or use the no index tag on those pages.
Okay. I have a question from Codex. Which website is best in Google SERP, HTML5 or WordPress? Which plays major role in ranking? Both. None of those play a major role in ranking, but you can have HTML5 and WordPress in the same. WordPress does offer HTML5 too, so you can just use that.
So there is no preference given to the technology that you're using on your server or for the site when it comes to ranking, basically.
Okay. Next question from Neeraj. Does Google crawl the URLs from its own index or my website page backlinks? If I don't have external backlink, redirects page to a new page for some time, and then remove the page, change all anchor text. So will Google still crawl this where it finds from? So you're basically saying if Google crawls from its own index or from your website's backlinks. The answer is both. Since we've already accumulated a list of links in our index, we'll crawl it on a certain timely basis to refresh those pages and see if there's the content is updated in those pages. And also we'll try and find new links on the web, through sitemaps or through people submitting backlinks for new URLs. So it need not just be one or the other. We can, anywhere we try and find new links, we'll try and crawl them and index them.
Ashish, actually, I have almost 100 pages that we have shifted in new URL, So we are using redirect 301 121, and it is okay. But the thing was that we have also changed internal link structure to new, pointing to new URL, and as suggested by Google, I should have old URLs, old site XML sitemap for search engine to go and understand that this page is old and new page is this, right? So by now actually I did not have that old URL sitemap, so I just wanted to be sure that how Google understand that my old page is this if I remove all internal links from my entire site.
So one, you yourself said that change your site address tool is provided in Search Console, right?
No, URL structure is changed, site is not changed.
Okay. So I think as long as the old URL, we still have the old URL in the index and the old URL redirects to the new one. If you see the content is the same, then it should not be an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think initially, I mean, if all those pages were already crawled in our index, then when we try to recrawl them, we will automatically be redirected with a 301 to the other destination page, right? And then we would know, okay, this is the new destination of the new URL of the destination.
Okay, means you can also crawl those pages from your own index.
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay. However, I am also going to have
Can be
one
from
own.
both, Neeraj, like from own index also, or even if you're provided backlinks, we can crawl those new pages from your backlinks also. Only thing is, once we find that from your backlinks we found a new URL and in our index there's another URL, but both have the same content, we'll just try and pick a canonical for both of those URLs.
Actually, Ashish, I just wanted to understand how Google reaches to old pages. If I remove old page URL from my site and provide new URL, but as Sayed says that it can reach from its own crawling, indexing. Sorry.
Yeah, if we already have that in our index, then of
Hmm.
course we may reach it. If we did not have that in index, then we may not know about that page anymore.
Okay, this is what I wanted to understand. Thank you.
Question from Jaya. So does the date of publish on the page affect Google's rankings? What is the ideal practice to be followed? Uh, should the dates be removed or updated to a more recent one? It can be affected if it's relevant to the query. So if someone is searching for using the search tools, if someone is searching for certain article on say mobile phone between April 2005 and March 2007 or something, and if then we'll probably take into consideration the date of publish on the page or the date that you have provided because it's relevant to the query. But otherwise I don't see any other ranking issue. uh, we have two more questions from Neeraj regarding high quality, low quality. Could you tell us what matters in Google for low quality and high quality? If I'm getting a link from 1,000 directories, some would be low quality, some would be high, but the content on them is the same. Means list. One regarding the content on the page itself, it's like what Syed said. Just use that blog post as use that blog post to check if your content meets all answers all those 23 questions positively. Regarding linking, obviously there could be links from high quality sites and low quality sites. Just because a lot of people are spamming you with low quality sites doesn't mean your site automatically will be marked as spam or anything. Google does understand that links can come from a variety of websites, and we'll try and measure the quality of your page based on that. So there's no like set guideline that you need to have like 70% of your backlinks should come from high quality sites or anything.
But yeah, if there are links coming from like 1,000 directories, are these? I mean, did you yourself place these links in those directories, or they just randomly appeared there? If you're going and posting these links in the directories, then what I would suggest is like, this is not a very good practice again, healthy exercise. basically because you would want your links to come from authoritative sources, not from very low quality directories, just for the sake of links, right? So I don't think it is really going to help you to spend that much time of yours to go to all these low quality directories and place your links there. But otherwise, as Ashish mentioned, if those links are like, it is not you who is placing those links, but they are just there, turning there somehow, then I don't think there is much for you to worry about as well.
Yeah, say thanks. Actually, just I was going through some articles like Penguin is going to come. So I just wanted to have a look at my site internal site backlink profile, and we are not that much aware like which website is high quality, which website is low quality, because I don't believe in most domain authority, and Google has stopped page rank toolbar also. So if suppose that there are 50 directories that are giving me a link, then it becomes very tough to understand which is high quality directory like demos, because it also has a list of links, and which is low quality, because then after deciding this I can disavow them.
I think actually trying to verify each backlink to your website is very, very hard. So one thing I would suggest is in your search console, you'll generally have a report which has a sample of about 1,000 links. Maybe go through some of the links in that and see if you have any sketchy links in those. And if you're receiving, say, a lot of links like bad links, very similar bad links, then maybe you can use disavow tool to remove those. So if you're actually noticing a pattern and you see a lot of bad links that are very similar, then you can use disavow to like ask Google to not count those. But otherwise, I would say don't put too much. It's too much effort to actually review each and every link. Just going through the small 1,000 link report in Search Console is a good start.
At the same time, I think, as I mentioned, you should not be spending a lot of time putting your links in the directories. And if at all you want to know, like if you have like 50 directories, a small number, and then you want to know which directory is good and bad, probably there are some general guidelines that you can look at. I mean, try to understand if that directory has some human behind it who's reviewing these sites, or they take entries from anybody and everybody, and what kind of sites they are pointing to. I mean, are there a bunch of low quality sites that are there in the directory, or they are linking to very high quality sites, and things like those. There could be some pointers that you can check. But at the end of the day, I think links should be generated automatically by others. By automatically, I mean probably people should be talking about you, referencing you, and things like that. That is how links should be generated. It is not that you go and place links here and there on the web. So that practice in itself is not good.
Okay. Another question from Jess. I'm having a clothing shop and sending product data to a shopping community. They publish my product data with a link to my shop with a do-follow link. Now they're pointing around 50,000 links to my page. Is that bad? Regarding the shopping community, if every link, I mean, if wait, are the users publishing your links because they look at your product and they're referring it back to the product, or is the shopping community like admin or someone publishing those links on your behalf? Because if it's the second case, then it's pretty much like using one community page to uh, push a bunch of links to your linking to your website, and I wouldn't say that's a good practice. But if the users themselves are submitting links to your products and if they're relevant, then I don't think it's that bad. I'm not sure if that was clear. You want to explain?
Yeah, no, so I'm not really sure what do you mean by community here, if it's a social media community where you're sharing this data with, and then there's chit chat happening on that community and a lot of people are exchanging details about your products and stuff like that. I think that is totally fine. But by community, if you mean there are a bunch of bloggers or people who just write about shopping and stuff like that, and then you're sharing these links with them, it is still okay as far as those links are genuine and they are not optimized for search, for example, using very high value keywords that you want to divert traffic from or rank from and things like that, right? So if they are like very natural, genuine links, then there is no problem, you know, even if they are more than 50,000. But if you see that those links are like not really genuine, or if you're requesting them to place links on their sites with specific keywords and stuff like that, then I think I would advise you to avoid that.
A question from Rice. How does site being offline affect its reputation, or does it have long-term negative effects on site reputation? I don't think so. There's no negative effects on sites being offline in the short term, because we understand that a lot of sites can be taken down for maintenance purposes and all that. But if it's offline for a long time, like say over a year or something, then obviously it will affect your ranking, because you know the site's not been provided for users for a very long time. But normal sites being offline for a short few days shouldn't really matter for your site in ranking, I mean. We have one last question from Neeraj. If I have two sensitive robots, case sensitive robots.txt, capital R and small r, which one Google will acknowledge and ignore? So the small r robots.txt is the standard robots.txt URL, and it's case sensitive. So the capital R one will be ignored. Okay, we don't have any other questions. Arun or Neeraj, do you have any more questions?
No.
Yes, I have one.
I don't. Yeah, please, Arun.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Actually, I asked the question. I'm facing a case where my page is indexing half on Google. So I missed the answer.
Yeah, so you basically said I'm half of the page is being indexed, and in the footer, a lot of
The footer part is not indexed, right?
So is the footer in a separate iframe, or is the footer being loaded by a separate Java?
No. It's an HTML. But what we are doing is we are using two footers.
Okay.
And
the content is
can't hear you.
in the body section of your HTML page.
No, I think it's in. Let me check. I think it's in footer section.
No, yeah, I mean I get that, but
No, it's not in body.
Okay.
It's not in body section.
Is it in head or something? Normally, the content in the body section, apart from scripts, I think that's what generally shows up in your web page. So any content you want to show up in the web page and that Google is indexing, it should be under body.
Okay.
So if it's not under body, or if it's under the head section, the content will not be. Actually, even if it's under head section, like titles and descriptions, as long as the tag is correct, it will be indexed. But okay, I think he's on. But if you have any footer or anything, I mean, under head, it probably won't show up.
Yeah, Arun, what you can do is basically post this in the Webmasters Central forum, and probably somebody. Arun?
Hello. Sorry, it was disconnected.
Oh, it's okay. So what I was saying was probably post the specific
Mm-hmm.
URLs that you're facing problems with in the Webmaster Central help forum, and then probably somebody will be able to take a look and then give you a proper solution, because just talking about it without looking at it is pretty difficult to understand what's happening.
Okay, is there any problem of using two footers
Okay, so
or two headers?
The footer tag, you mean HTML5 tag for footer?
Right. The footer tag, right?
Yeah, I think as far as I know, ideally it should be used only once.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're using it twice, I'm not sure. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
No, I mean, from a ranking perspective, there's no just because you use two footers doesn't mean we'll decrease your site's ranking or anything like that. But from a user perspective, if it's like confusing the user, or if it doesn't make sense for him, then it's a bad thing. So I mean, again, I honestly don't know how it looks. So just post it on the community or the forum page, and we'll take a look.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay, I have one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so can I ask in Hindi? Can I ask in Hindi too?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. पूछ सकते
ओके
हैं आप.
सो मेरी मेरा एक वेब पेज है जहाँ पे कंटेंट है लाइक थाउजेंड वर्ड्स कंटेंट. ओके, एंड कंटेंट बहुत ज्यादा कॉपी होके दूसरे साइड में पब्लिश होता है. ओके, एंड समहाउ मेरे वेब पेज से वो कंटेंट रिमूव हो गया एज एनी टेक्निकल ग्लिच. सो मैं जब उसको रीपब्लिश करूंगा तो उस कंटेंट की वेटेज वैसी ही रहेगी या चेंज हो जाएगी?
ओके, तो समझ ली.
लाइक कि वो कंटेंट रिमूव हो गया
हाँ.
एंड वो नया पेज कैश हो गया विदाउट कंटेंट वाला. सो उसके बाद जब मैं रीपोस्ट करूंगा तो उस कंटेंट की वेटेज कितनी रहेगी?
नहीं, तो मतलब आपका जब पहले जब कंटेंट था आपके पेज पे, तो जब वो ऑलरेडी क्रॉल और इंडेक्स हो चुका था, राइट?
राइट.
हाँ, फिर सेकंड, फिर दोबारा जब वो क्रॉल हुआ या इंडेक्स हुआ, तो मतलब आपका जो ब्लैंक पेज था वो मतलब गूगल ने देखा और उसको इंडेक्स कर लिया.
राइट.
राइट. अब ये कंटेंट कहीं और अवेलेबल है, कोई और वेबसाइट पे.
अवेलेबल है. हाँ.
हाँ, और वो इंडेक्स भी हो
राइट.
चुका है ऑलरेडी.
हाँ, वो इंडेक्स भी हो चुका है.
हाँ, तो हमारे पास यूजुअली व्हाट हम जिसको देखते हैं मतलब कंपेयर करने के लिए, जो करंट कैश होता है, ठीक है, वो हम बेसिकली उसको उसको नजर में रखते हैं. ठीक है, तो ये अगर एक बार ये प्रॉब्लम होता है तो मतलब जनरली ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं होना चाहिए. मतलब कि गूगल सर्च कुछ ऐसा इश्यू नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है, लेकिन अगर बार बार आपकी साइट में अगर ये हो रहा है कि मतलब कंटेंट चला जा रहा है, आपके पेजेस किसी टेक्निकल की वजह से ब्लैंक हो जा रहे हैं, फिर काफी दिन तक वैसे रह रहे हैं, और फिर वो कंटेंट कहीं अवेलेबल है इतने सारे दिन, फिर आप बाद में 1 महीना 2 महीना बाद फिर आपके पेजेस को अपडेट कर रहे हो, तो फिर इश्यू हो सकता है.
ओके, दैट मीन्स वेटेज कम हो सकती है कंटेंट की एंड रैंकिंग इफेक्ट हो सकता है.
हाँ, मतलब ये कि रैंकिंग के बारे में हम नहीं बोल सकते हैं फिर भी, क्योंकि रैंकिंग बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स पे डिपेंड होती है. ठीक है, तो लेकिन अगर आपको ये क्लेम करना है कि ये कंटेंट ओरिजिनली आपका है, तो फिर थोड़ी सी मुश्किल हो जाएगी, क्योंकि एविडेंस बाकी नहीं है कि आप ये कंटेंट आपका है. हाँ, तो वहां पे प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. तो अगर ये टेक्निकल ग्लिच है तो आप जल्द से जल्द इसको मतलब सुधार लें. हाँ, लेकिन अगर एक आध बार किसी पेज के साथ ऐसा हुआ है तो फिर वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं रहना चाहिए.
ओके. ओके.
All right. So if
Yeah, Ashish, very small question. One more. I just wanted to know the answer of, if you both allow.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Ashish, actually, my tech team was telling me that they are using some kind of footer section. So in page loading, when page loads to Google, maybe sometimes it happens that footer section loads first and then content loads. So they just wanted to be sure if there is any kind of problem from Google perspective, if Google is coming finding footer loading sooner than main content, then body, you can say.
So yeah, I don't. Honestly, it's not a big deal in desktop, but on mobile, if you have footer content loading first and then the actual content being loaded, and if the speed is actually slow, I mean, if it's noticeably slow, then it could affect your ranking.
Only when the speed is slow.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it is.
so if the speed is both of them, all your content, include the footer and the body and everything, if it's being loaded pretty quickly, then it really doesn't matter. But only when your site's actual, the content that the user sees on his page, if that is not being loaded quickly, then it could affect your ranking.
Okay, cool.
But if everything is loading fast and it's just the order is a bit different, that doesn't really matter.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys. We'll probably have another hangout next month, and we're also planning to have for Arun.
Can I ask one more question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Is there any problem to update sitemap on daily basis?
No.
Like if I created a dynamic sitemap and I'm updating it on regular basis when a new URL is created. So is there any problem on this?
There's no problem. Only thing is, there's no guarantee that Google will crawl your sitemap daily and crawl each URL in your sitemap daily. There's no guarantee because it depends from a site to site basis. Some sites it can crawl multiple times a day. Some sites it can crawl once in 2-3 days, depending upon the site
Okay.
and content and frequency and everything. So
Okay.
there's no like from your side, there's no issue. From Google side, crawling the timeline can differ from site to site.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right, thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you.
Like
Bye.
I said, we're planning some hangouts in Hindi too, coming up Feb and March. Hope you guys join, and I'm like you can ask questions in Hindi even in this hangout, but those hangouts are specifically for Hindi questions.
Yeah, thank you both
Okay.
of you.
Okay.
Right.
Have a good time ahead,
Have a
and
good day.
happy Republic Day also. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye.